Witches have been a staple in pop culture for decades, appearing in everything from classic films to modern TV shows. But how accurate are these portrayals when it comes to real-life witchcraft? In today's video, we're taking a closer look at 10 iconic witches from pop culture, breaking down what they got right and what they got wrong about the craft.
The Wicked Witch of the West is one of the most recognizable witches in pop culture. Her green skin, pointy hat, and menacing demeanor have come to define the stereotypical evil witch. However, this portrayal is deeply rooted in cultural fears rather than reality. Historically, the concept of witches has been tied more to societal anxieties than to the practices of those accused of witchcraft. Real-life witches, whether in history or in modern times, were often wise women, healers or midwives, practicing herbalism and folk medicine. Their so-called witchcraft was more about maintaining balance, healing and protection, rather than the malevolent pursuit of power. The Wicked Witch's portrayal reinforces the harmful notion that powerful women, especially those who defy social norms, are to be feared and controlled. This depiction taps into long-standing gender biases, where women who wield power outside of the accepted norms are demonized.
Take special care of those ruby slippers. I want those most of all. Now fly! Fly!
Sabrina Spellman has been a beloved character through various adaptations. From the light-hearted 90-second sitcom to the darker, chilling adventures of Sabrina. Her character captures the essence of witchcraft as a journey of self-discovery and empowerment, which aligns with modern views of witchcraft as a personal spiritual path. However, the ease with which Sabrina casts spells, often with a simple flick of the wrist, misrepresents the reality of witchcraft. In real life, rituals and spells are complex, requiring preparation, intention, and a deep connection to nature and spiritual forces. This simplified portrayal reflects the Hollywood tendency to trivialize complex practices, reducing them to mere entertainment. Sabrina's character also explores themes of identity and power, particularly as a young woman navigating a world that often underestimates her, reflecting broader societal issues of gender and the challenges women face in asserting their autonomy.
Spirits of the forest, I pronounce my intentions to thee. Come forth and seek me, and equal we will be.
Hermione Granger is a witch who breaks away from traditional stereotypes. She is intelligent, resourceful, and deeply committed to learning. A portrayal that resonates with real-life witches who often engage in extensive study of subjects like herbalism, astrology, and ancient wisdom. However, the Harry Potter series portrays magic as something that can be wielded instantly with the right words and a wand, which is far removed from the practices of real witches. In reality, witchcraft is about setting intentions and working with natural energies, often over time, to manifest change. Hermione's character also reflects broader themes of gender and power, as a young woman who consistently outsmarts and outperforms her male peers. Hermione challenges the traditional gender dynamics often seen in both fiction and reality. Her portrayal suggests that knowledge and wisdom, traditionally undervalued when possessed by women, are powerful tools for challenging the status quo.
Look, stop. You're going to take someone's eye out. Besides, you're saying it wrong. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Maleficent is another iconic bad witch, though her story has evolved over time to reveal a more nuanced character, particularly in the modern retellings like Disney's Maleficent. While her original portrayal in Sleeping Beauty paints her as a vengeful, curse-wielding villain, later adaptations explore her complex motivations, challenging the simplistic good versus evil narrative. Maleficent's deep connection with nature and her ability to transform into a dragon hint at the idea that witches are powerful figures, capable of harnessing natural forces. However, the emphasis on curses and revenge in her story misrepresents the true nature of witchcraft, which is largely focused on healing, protection, and working with nature for positive outcomes. Maleficent's character reflects societal fears of powerful women and the ways in which these fears are used to justify the control and suppression of female autonomy.
I'm sure your kind would agree. If I didn't know better, I'd say you were making a threat. Well, do you? Do I what? No better.
Willow Rosenberg's journey from a shy, bookish girl to a powerful witch in Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a compelling narrative that mirrors the real-life path of many witches, which involves years of study and practice. Willow's character accurately reflects the importance of knowledge and dedication in the craft. However, her struggles with dark magic and eventual descent into a dangerous, power-hungry persona reinforce the stereotype that power inevitably corrupts. This portrayal can be harmful, as it suggests that those who pursue power, especially women, are destined to lose control and become destructive. In reality, ethical considerations, self-awareness, and a focus on balance are central to modern witchcraft, which emphasizes responsible use of power. Willow's story highlights the challenges women face when they step into their power, often facing internal and external battles as they navigate a world that is uncomfortable with powerful women.
What's this? Bag of tricks?
Bag of knives.
Spirit of serpents now appear. Hissing, writhing, striking near.
Elphaba, the Wicked Witch from Wicked the Musical, offers a powerful critique of how society labels and marginalizes those who are different. Her story reveals how societal prejudice and fear can shape perceptions, turning a misunderstood, idealistic young woman into a villain in the eyes of others. This narrative resonates with the historical treatment of witches, many of whom were women who defied social norms or were simply misunderstood. However, the idea that magical abilities are purely inherent or hereditary, as suggested by Elphaba's character, is less accurate. Modern witchcraft is largely about study, dedication, and a deep connection to spiritual practices rather than being born with innate abilities. Elphaba's story challenges the traditional narrative of witches as villains, offering a more nuanced exploration of power, marginalization, and the consequences of societal fear.
Don't be afraid.
I'm not afraid. It's the wizard who should be afraid of me.
The Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus are campy, fun, and full of personality, embodying many of the classic witch tropes, cauldrons, brooms, and a taste for the macabre. Their portrayal as child-hungry hags, however, perpetuates harmful stereotypes that have plagued witches for centuries. Historically, witches were often scapegoated as dangerous or malevolent figures, especially during times of social upheaval. In contrast, real witchcraft is about living in harmony with nature and others, with a strong emphasis on healing and protection rather than causing harm. The Sanderson sisters reflect the enduring cultural fascination with and fear of witches, particularly older women who defy societal expectations. Their portrayal reinforces the idea that powerful women, especially those who refuse to conform, are inherently dangerous and must be controlled or eradicated.
Just a bunch of hocus pocus!
Sarah! Mary! Brave little virgin. Oof, ouch!
Fiona Good, the Supreme Witch in American Horror Story Coven, epitomizes power, glamour, and ambition. The show accurately depicts witchcraft as a diverse and multifaceted practice, with different witches specializing in various forms of magic. However, Fiona's character is also a reflection of Hollywood's fascination with power struggles and the idea that power inevitably leads to corruption. In reality, most modern witches value collaboration, mutual support, and ethical practices over the cutthroat pursuit of power depicted in the show. Fiona's portrayal highlights the cultural obsession with powerful women and the fear that such power, if unchecked, can become destructive. This narrative reflects broader societal anxieties about women who pursue power and authority, often framing them as ruthless or dangerous.
Excuse me, you can't just barge in on the tour without purchasing a ticket.
You're giving us a tour for free.
Free, of course.
Nancy Downs from The Craft is the quintessential 90 Seconds goth witch, embodying the allure and danger of unchecked power. The film explores themes of empowerment, particularly for marginalised young women, and the consequences of misusing magic. This reflects real considerations in witchcraft, where ethics and personal responsibility are paramount, However, the portrayal of magic as a quick fix for personal problems is misleading. Real witchcraft involves a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of all things and the law of cause and effect, with a strong emphasis on responsibility and balance. Nancy's character serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of power without discipline, reflecting societal fears of women who seize control and refuse to play by the rules.
The Blair Witch is more of a legend than a character, but her influence on pop culture is undeniable. The idea of a malevolent, unseen force lurking in the woods taps into primal fears and the historical fear of witches as malevolent entities. However, this portrayal is entirely fictional and bears little resemblance to the practices of real witches. Real witchcraft is much more about healing, connecting with nature, and fostering positive energy than it is about causing harm or invoking terror. The Blair Witch legend reflects deep-seated cultural fears of the unknown and the wild, often personified by the figure of the witch. This portrayal also underscores the historical association of women with nature and the fear of what lies beyond the boundaries of civilization. A fear that has often been used to justify the persecution of women who live outside societal norms.
On video.
Because we're making a documentary.
Not about us getting lost, we're making a documentary about a witch.
From the Wicked Witch of the West to Nancy Downs, pop culture has given us a wide range of witchy characters to love, fear, and be inspired by. These portrayals, while entertaining, often deviate significantly from the reality of modern witchcraft and the historical practices of those who have been labelled as witches. They tend to emphasise stereotypes and dramatic tropes, such as the notion of witches being inherently evil, overly powerful, or dangerously seductive. Yet, these characters also spark a deep curiosity and interest in the mystical, inviting audiences to explore themes of power, identity, and rebellion.
However, it's worth noting the stark gender imbalance in the portrayal of witches in the media. While there are numerous iconic female witches, male witches, who are often referred to as warlocks, sorcerers, or wizards, rather than witches, are far less common and typically portrayed quite differently. When male witches do appear, they are often depicted as wise mentors, villains, or figures of authority, rather than as outcasts or embodiments of societal fears. This gendered approach to witchcraft in media reflects broader societal norms, where women who wield power are often viewed with suspicion or fear, while men in similar roles are respected or revered. This imbalance not only reinforces traditional gender roles but also perpetuates the idea that mystical or spiritual power is more natural or dangerous when wielded by women. It mirrors the historical persecution of women accused of witchcraft, who were often targeted precisely because they defied conventional gender roles. Meanwhile, men who practiced similar arts were less likely to be condemned or were even celebrated as wise men or scholars.
Pop culture has the power to both reflect and influence societal attitudes, and by diversifying the narratives around witches, we can challenge the stereotypes that have long been associated with them. If you're fascinated by the world of witches and want to explore these themes further, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more magical content. Let's continue the conversation about how we can expand and enrich these portrayals, making room for more diverse and accurate representations of witches, both female and male, across all forms of media.